my interpretation of the question, are you aware that no one has experienced? I don't know if you're asking, like, am I aware of the theory or idea that, like, basically when you go to sleep, that the world isn't there anymore. Basically, that the world needs an observer to exist. And like I've researched a lot about quantum physics and quantum mechanics, and like they've talked a lot about that. How like the reality requires an observer to exist. But at the same time, I don't think when you go to sleep the world disappears necessarily, because we're only one aspect. This world is being co-created by all of us. Now, if every living being just left the earth, then yeah, maybe the earth might just disappear with it. But like, I mean, if humans disappeared, I think the earth will still be here because there are monkeys and animals to observe it. You know, but I think that it is quite possible, because it's just that the matrix we live in, it requires someone to look at it in order for it to come together into a solid state. So like, if not, everything seems, at least in quantum physics, everything seems to just be in a wave form, without an observer. But yeah, I think spirit consciousness you are. Okay, there's another question from Instagram. Al Algaradas Vals, completely butcher that name. I'm so sorry. How can one more on Instagram asks, how can one more easily come to terms with the fact that that in life you do things that you are obligated to do, even if you don't like doing them, like having a job and making money, and the things you do enjoy, like making art, reading books, researching interesting topics. How can you find a balance between those things so that you could be not too worn out and exhausted by the obligatory duties and have purposeful, fulfilling, and interesting personal activities? I feel it's this is gonna sound fucked up, but I feel like it's about prioritizing. And in my mind, a lot of people disagree with me on this, but in my mind, my happiness is more important than any fucking amount of money I can make. Money doesn't make me happy. I've lived a life where I worked a job for 4 years. I was getting paid a decent amount of money. Like, I mean, at least for me, a decent amount of money, like $300-$400, a week. And but I was balancing, right? I would, and this is around the time where I first started using DMT, when I was working this job, and I would smoke DMT sometimes before I went to work, and sometimes smoke DMT after I got out of work, and then I would research, and I feel like it's all about balance and timing. If you have to go to work, if you have to go to work, it's not about the work. It's about, what do you do when you're not at work? What do you do? Because you're only at work. Most people only work 4 to 8 hours a day. There are 24 hours in a day. Like, I tend to like balance my day out. I tend to look at what I need to do in a day, what I have to do, whatever, and also come to terms with, as weird as this sounds, to separate yourself and look back and realize you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything. You just have to live, whatever that means to you. Now, it's complicated because in this world we live in, right? Because I'm in this situation right now. Like, I'm literally in this situation. And to be completely honest, 2.5 months ago, I lost my apartment, and now I'm living with my mom, and I'm getting ready to get another apartment probably in the next week or two. But because I've been looking at apartments for like a month now. I've looked at a bunch of apartments, but so I was in the situation where it's like I wasn't doing my quote unquote obligated duties of having a job. So then I didn't have money. So then I lost the apartment because I couldn't pay the rent, and my business was failing. I started a business, but that was failing. And I didn't want to get a job because like I wanted to do the business thing. I wanted to do my thing. I wanted to live my dreams. I wanted to whatever, and it didn't go as planned. It never really does. But it was a learning lesson for me. But what I realized in that moment of losing my apartment, I never let it affect my happiness, my mood, my whatever. I used it as motivation. So for me, it's like when I was working, I looked at it as motivation. Like I'm not working to pay the bills. I'm working to support my dreams, my goals. Um, because reading books, because I do this every day. I try to read an audiobook at least 30, like I was trying to do an hour a day, but it's like now I'm just trying to read an audiobook at least 30 minutes a day, or listen to an audiobook 30 minutes a day. I mean, I've been researching things about quantum physics, quantum mechanics. I feel like this is how you do it. You set times. I go to work from, say you go to work from 9 to 5. You get out at 5, you start researching. You get to the grind. You get to, if you want to read, you read as soon as you get out. You want to start researching, you start researching. You want to write a book, you start writing your book. And you give yourself no option. Because I think the issue is people feel like they're obligated to work, but they're not obligated to do the things that make them happy. And I feel like I'm more obligated to do the things that light my soul on fire, that make me feel good, than I am the things that make me feel miserable. It's just about balancing what you want in life, and and then setting a time and putting yourself on a schedule and calling yourself out, and and don't just look at it like you're obligated to go to work. Look at it like you're obligated to read a book. Like if you want to read a book, then you tell yourself, I don't have a choice but to read this fucking book 30 minutes a day. I'm going to read this book at 5:30 every single day until 6 o'clock. And you give yourself no option, no break, no breather, like you're forced to. Because then you'll feel better when it's like, okay, I'm not just going to work, coming home, so exhausted, sleeping, then going to work, coming home, have no time to do what I love to do. Make the time to do what you love to do. Another question, by the same person asked, how can you eliminate or deal with the feeling which can be either always underlying in your life and be on your mind all the time, or just strike you randomly, that everything is worthless, purposeless, boring, and will eventually perish? The feeling that makes all the things you care about, enjoy doing, and find interesting seem trivial, temporary, and not worth investing your time into. The feeling that deprives you of energy, motivation, and happiness. Now, to be completely honest, I almost have the opposite view, right? Where it's like, I don't want to eliminate that feeling, because that feeling is what drives me. As weird as this sounds, death drives me. I remind myself every day that one day I'm going to die. So, because of one day I'm going to die, what the fuck am I doing now? And it's like, okay, I look at it as motivation. A lot of people, I could see why death would give them anxiety, or why death would make them sad, or why it would make them lose motivation or lose happiness, or like the things you love will also perish, and everything goes. But it's like, I think that everything is temporary. The only thing you have control over is what you're doing right now. And for me, I don't want to necessarily eliminate that feeling, because it motivates me. It drives me. I don't get lack of motivation from thinking, oh my God, everything's going to perish. I'm going to die one day. Everyone I love is going to die one day. Nothing lasts forever. I use that as motivation, because nothing lasts forever. I'm going to die one day. So what am I doing right now before I'm dead? What am I doing while I'm alive? So it's like, for me, everything has a purpose because you define the purpose yourself. It's very interesting, because a lot of people have that same perspective, where, that feeling that's underlying in your life, it could be on your mind, and it could strike you randomly. For me, I don't allow it to strike me randomly, because I think about it willingly. I think about, I probably, if you ask my family, the people I live with, if you ask them, I probably think about death more than I should. Or at least they think I think about death more than I should. But I don't think about death in the same way. You know, like, I think about it in this weird psychedelic aspect that's like DMT spaces where we go when we die. And, like, I just have this weird belief, right? So my beliefs kind of help push me forward to be like, okay, well, if I'm going to go to another dimension anyways, why not use that as motivation? Because it's like, I don't have all the time in the universe to sit here, so I might as well do. You know, so that's why it motivates me. And it doesn't affect my happiness because it's like, I'm happy regardless. I'm happy because I'm breathing. I'm happy because I have family that loves me. I'm happy that I have, you know, I have just good people around me, right? And I have a good internal self. So, yeah, it doesn't necessarily deprive me of energy. Like I said, it gives me energy. And I don't know if that'll help because, like I said, I just have a completely different perspective, but that's just my point of view. I think we have one question left. Maybe two. There might be one I could find on my YouTube channel. This video is so long, it's insane. On Minds.com, Chris Dogood asks, what are your thoughts on NVC, Nonviolent Communication, a book and philosophy by Marshall Rosenberg? Now, I've never read the book. I don't even know who Marshall Rosenberg is, but no, I have researched nonviolent communication. I have this weird view because it's like, I don't think that, obviously, you shouldn't be communicating violently with people. Like, you should be able to have a conversation with someone, even if you're mad at them or even if they piss you off or whatever. You should be able to have a conversation with them like this. You don't need to be like, well, this is how I feel and this is how it needs to be, and no, because then you're losing people. People tend to not pay attention when you're just screaming at the top of your lungs. A lot of people think that when you're yelling and screaming at someone, that they're gonna hear it more because you're speaking it louder, so they think that they're gonna hear it more. Realistically, they just turn you off. But at the same time, I do not think that we need to fake our emotions either. I don't think that we need to fake it like we're like, oh my God, like peace and love all the time. You know, because I'm a human being. Some things piss me off. Some things irritate me. Some things, like, I don't know, I get irritated sometimes at myself. I get irritated sometimes with people. I get irritated sometimes with things. Like, I'm still just a human being right now at the same time. So it's like, I see both sides. But I just think that we don't necessarily need NVC to dictate our reality, because it should be common sense to be able to have an intelligent conversation without losing your mind, without getting mad, without whatever. And if you get mad, walk away. But at the same time, I just think that, you know, we don't necessarily need something to tell us how to be or how to live. Because I think it is common sense, where it's like, it should just be common sense to communicate with each other on an act of love and on an act of understanding, and yeah. But I honestly think that was the last question. This video is a 2-part video. I'm literally gonna have to separate this video into 2 videos. It's gonna be like 23 minutes, 24 minutes each. But yeah, I don't think I have any more questions. I'm trying to see right now. Yeah, so this question is last question, from B. Wright. How does one person change the entirety of themselves without changing themselves on a personal level? It's a complicated question. Good question to end it on. So, I think that how you change yourself without changing yourself on a personal level, it's also, this goes into the complication of what is the self. What is yourself? Our personality and our self, the person that we think we are, was just molded by our family. A lot of times, the ideas that we think we like, we only like them because our family likes them. A lot of times, the things that we think we love, we only love it because our family, said that that's what we love, and then we love what they love, and it's just a repeat, right? Personalities, the person you are in the soul will always be the same. Who you are deep down at your core will always be the same. I used to be a wannabe thug trying to hang out with gangsters and sag my pants and be a thug and talk like a thug, and I used to talk completely different. Like, honestly, I used to add more of a hardness to my voice, you know what I'm saying? And like I used to add like hardness to my voice. And but just cuz I'm this way, that doesn't mean that I've lost myself. I shed off the parts of me that weren't me. So on the path of change, you might look at or the people around you might think to yourself, like, you're not even the same person anymore. But deep down in your mind and your soul, you know that you've always been you and you will always be you. It's just what you do might change, what you enjoy might change, what you eat might change, whatever might change. The music you listen to might change, whatever, all that might change, but you're still you. So I could just say, if you want the change, then go for it. If you don't, then don't. But if you want the change, just go for it and go with the flow. Go wherever the path takes you. Wherever the path leads you, wherever it could go, that's where you should go if you want the change. Because change is the only thing that is inevitable. I mean, all of us will change. Our skin will change. It'll get more wrinkly and saggy. Like, our hair color goes away. Whitens, grays, whatever. Our body changes. A lot of things changes. Reality itself changes. I mean, if you look at the world 100 years ago, if you look at cities 300 years ago and you look at cities today, they're completely different. They have the same base idea of a city, but the way they do it and what they build in cities out of it's completely different. So it's kind of the same thing with the human being when we're on the path of change, on the path of growth. Our clothes might change. Like I said, the music we listen to might change. The things we thought we used to love might change. I used to play video games all the time. I haven't played a video game in 5 years. I haven't owned a game system in 5 years. So yeah, some people say, I used to love playing video games. I did, but I don't now. And I might start playing video games again, but yeah. I'm going to leave it at that, though, guys, because this video got way, way, way too long. But it's alright. Thank you guys so much for watching. You're all so amazing. And, yeah, thank you so much for your questions. I'm so sorry that it took this long to answer the questions. But you guys are awesome, and I hope everyone has an amazing day. Thank you so much.